Now, at this point, we need to get it moving, and I'd like to introduce Matt Konofsky from Cooloola, who will have a few words about the campaign and also introduce the Kabi people.
Good afternoon, everyone. I don't speak as well as Greg loves to chat, but give it a shot. So we started to keep Cooloola cool in response to one alarming fact. Our requests for information lacked any detail, they were not transparent or in good faith. Some were just blatantly ignorant. Press these government departments further and receive responses like, oh, that's not available due to it being commercial in confidence. We have an Indigenous land use agreement, and so community consultation is not required. This proposal is for Kabi people, so the community should have no right to any consultation process. It quickly began to smell fishy. I found myself wondering, are the people putting this proposal together severely incompetent? Why are they trying to hide behind any piece of legislation or find any possible reason to keep the community, and that is Indigenous and non-Indigenous people alike, at arm's length, basically pretending we do not exist? What happened to our government and our representatives being honest, transparent and honourable? What happened to them acting on behalf and in the best interests of the community? Where are environmental organisations, the groups that are meant to stand up for our national parks, to act in the best interests of the features that make them national parks? How has all this gone so wrong? Deals is because most of the people involved in this project are running around doing deals, selling out in order to get something back. Deals don't achieve great outcomes. They do not strive for best practice. Deals are not in our national parks or the community's interests. They are done in dark rooms between people who are abusing their power. You don't have to look very closely to see that this proposal is built on deals. Deals between people who have lost their way, and we as a community are supposed to sit back and pretend it is not happening. Pretend like our beautiful Great Sandy National Park is not being degraded through a proposal that thrives on a model of segregation, separation, exclusivity. Is this what we as a community want for our public spaces? We're fully aware you might not agree with everything that is said today. Each of us will have differing opinions, which we fully acknowledge and respect. If the only thing you take away from today is that this proposal is a farce, it does nothing to benefit our community, our environment, or even First Nations people, then we hope at a minimum we can find common ground in just that. And that we can all spend a little bit of time every day emailing, calling, and messaging the people who keep on pretending that you do not exist and that you do not have a right to protect the last remaining places in our region that are unspoiled and are not under-urbanised. What happens later in regards to access, use, camping, hiking, canoeing, fall driving, fishing, boating is for another conversation. Because at the moment it does not matter, because we're being treated like we do not exist. When the greedy corporate gaze turns towards other areas of the park, do you think the Queensland Government is going to treat those user groups any differently? The answer is no. We're lucky to have Kabi friends who at this very moment are standing up for our community, standing up for their sacred sites, standing up for their country. Yet how often do you hear people giving acknowledgements to country, to the traditional owners and custodians of the land, past, present and future? Sounds all warm and fuzzy. It makes us all feel good. Although if things are so good, why do we have Kabi people with irrefutable, direct, documented ancestry standing up, protecting their country, so easily being ignored, discredited, suppressed, insulted, degraded, you name it, it is happening on our doorstep. How is this happening today? Not yesterday, not 100 years ago, not 200 years ago, but today. It's because we've been lied to, and we believe that lie because we want to believe everything is fine. We want to believe that we treat First Nations people equally, respectfully, without judgment. The Department of Tourism keep trying to sell us the idea that this proposal is for Kabi people. We have been verbally abused, shouted at, told it is none of our business, but we're still here because we're not going to shrink away into the darkness because something might be difficult to talk about, as that is exactly what the parties who are trying to do their deals and steal from our community, Kabi people and the environment want us to do. We all have the power to stand up for our fellow community members, to demand more from our government and representatives. We have an obligation to point out the grave injustices. If every person in this room takes responsibility for what is happening and actively does something about it, things would change overnight. By doing nothing, we are only allowing the lies, the deceit and the corruption to continue. The Cooloola Great Wall proposal is a stinker. It is outrageous in so many ways, yet we still have the ability to stop it. All we have to do is want to help and then put that feeling into action. So next we have Wit-boooka, who'll be able to give us a bit of a history lesson, tell us about the Kabi claim area, and explain to you in person how disgracefully the Queensland government treated his family. Thank you.
Thanks, mate. All right, everybody. Means welcome in Kabi language. First off, I'd like to just pay my respects to my ancestors, or our ancestors. Auntie Dawn is also here. She's Kabi elder. Djaki's here. He also helps me and the Kabi mob try and fight what's going on with native title. But I'd like to pay my respects to my elders, past, present, and everyone else who is trying to stand up with us to fight. We have a magic word, well, we hope it's magic, which we call it Wirritja, black fella and white fella working together. And this is what needs to happen. It needs to come out that this corporation is taking over everybody's rights. We don't need that, because you don't have any rights, you'll be just stuck in a hole. As Matt was saying in his speech, the reason why we don't welcome to country is because of what's happened to us in the last 200 years. You know, displacement of Kabi people, oppressing Kabi people, disenfranchising Kabi people, assimilating. Now, it's a crime. Assimilation is a crime. So is genocide. And that's what's been happening to the Kabi people and all the First Nation people around Australia. It's a crime under your law. The Criminal Code 1995. It's just, they don't have a penalty for it, so they don't charge anybody. And that's done deliberately. We have rights to self-determinate on our country. That's what it says. The UN documents 26, 25, 25 also says that. We have a right to self-determinate. Now, my people, my family, we were up in Gympie there. We had a sacred site, Djaki Kundu. Now we sat there for 9 months trying to protect it from the highway going through. And this native title group come along, Kabi native title group. Most of those people don't even belong in their country. They get these people from other countries, come in and sign our rights away. This is what happened. This is what's happened since the beginning. Since 1788, they brought people from south, they come up here, or as it is today, from the west, they come in and sign all our rights away. So we're standing up now. Against this crap, because native title, you know, we attended the native title, we signed up 2013. And I found out, I was a director. I was a director for the corporation Younger Bawan for Kabi, for cultural heritage. And I've seen what the crap that goes on, and no one wants to protect their sites, not even Kabi people. They just want to tick a box and let it get destroyed. All it is about money. But my family wants to stand up. If people don't know me, I don't know, is Sandy Bolton here? Okay. Well, they claim that I'm not connected. The same as the Djaki Kundu. Yet I was one of the people that did the report in 2014 of the site, and they kept saying I don't belong there, I don't belong there. Well, here's a document here. It says from the Kabi Younger Bawan that I was a treasurer in that corporation, Kabi Corporation. The thing is, they're trying to keep us out of the native title. Well, we don't want to be a part of the native title. But I have another document. The native title group, the 7 applicants that represent Kabi people, are supposed to come back to the tribal people. They're only messengers. That's all they are. They can't sign nothing away. So they're supposed to come back to the mob and ask the mob, are we allowed to make this deal? And then the mob let them know. Well, we've only had one meeting this year, and that was in March, was it?
Yeah, March.
One meeting, well, it was 3 meetings, all in one weekend virtually, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. One at Kilkeven, one at Nambour, and one down at Petrie. I only attended the 2, Kilkeven and Nambour. Now those people, they weren't asking for our permission, they were just letting us know what was going on. It took them 3 years to get to that point. And I see they've already started doing the fire breaks over there. The fire breaks, which is unlawful. See, as soon as... Anyway, native title there. This is... They can't do nothing unless you all agree. We, or my family, are the first 3 applicants on that list of native title. The first 3. We are Maggie Contini, George Parsons, which my family goes under, and Albert Williams. So we're connected to the first 3, and they keep denying my right to defend my country. All of my country, not just a little patch. Also have a trust here. A trust here, this is only a copy of a few pages, if anyone's interested in looking at a couple of pages. I couldn't bring it because it's a discretionary trust. And it says, my family owns all this land. That's what it says. It's been signed by the Foreign Affairs Minister. It's been stamped every page by the Foreign Affairs Ministers. Every page it's been stamped. So they have no authority to do what they're doing. We also have notices here, if anyone wants to know a little bit about history. This government has no authority. We'll go back to 1700s, when Queen Mary and William, they wrote a law, an act to act a settlement. Now, Act of Settlement says that they couldn't export their sovereignty out of England, Wales or Ireland. They had to stay there. So in 1722, there was a Privy Council had an anonymous case, and it said they were allowed to send their people, but they had to follow their laws for their people, nothing else. So when they come here, they were supposed to buy the land or have a treaty. As you all know, there's nothing. There's nothing. King William, 1836, also said that you're not allowed to chase your people, First Nation people. They have ownership of the land. And no one was to disperse them or anything like that. So you move on to 1842, which is a very special point for us because Petrie, he come up to the first Bunya gatherings up at the Blackall Ranges, and he saw what was going on. He said, he went back to Governor Gibbs, New South Wales, because this was all part of New South Wales at that stage, and he said, well, we can't move in there because there's tribal people there. They got law, they got a society. We're not allowed to move in. So Governor Gibbs wrote a Bunya Proclamation. I don't know if anyone really knows the Bunya Proclamation, which involves right here. The Bunya Proclamation was done in 1842. Queen Victoria allowed it, consented to it, and it states that, I'll just do it in English today, It states that no one was to go north of Brisbane, where the bunya trees grow. And anyone found there were to be dragged out by the Crown Commissioner or the Colonial Commissioner. And there were never to be any tree licences to cut trees down. This law has never been repealed and it can never be repealed because the Crown did it. And this is what this government's doing. They're doing exactly what they're doing to us, they're starting to do to you, take your rights away. So you fast forward to 1875, we had more rights. Queen Victoria, she was trying to look after First Nation people of Australia, everywhere in the islands and everything. She stated the Pacific Island Protection Act. Now the Pacific Island Protection Act says in Section 7, saving the rights of the tribes. Now, this is the most important thing. Queen Victoria stated in that she had no sovereignty or dominion over the land, and neither will her heirs or successors. And this is all the Australian government is a successor. It also went on to 1893. It said the exact same thing, the Pacific Order. That's why 1900, your Constitution, Section 5126, it says we can't make laws for the Aboriginal race. You can't make laws for us. So why are we in this situation? Just because in 1967 the government wanted to change the laws of the Constitution and had a referendum to count us. They weren't allowed to count us also. When I was born, 127 of the Constitution says you're not allowed to count the Aboriginal race. So that birth certificate they hold in that foreign corporate name is invalid for a lot of us tribal people because they weren't allowed to count us. But we did not give them permission to make laws for us. So we go on to 1970. 1970 was a good year for us. Well, it was supposed to be. Queen Elizabeth knew the Pacific Islander Protection Act. The Pacific Order stated that the heirs and successors never had authority and never had sovereignty or dominion. So she signed the UN document, United Nations document, 262525, stating that they had to decolonise the Commonwealth, decolonise Australia. So who was authority here? The First Nation people. There's many nations in Australia. It's like Europe. Europe's got many nations. Australia's got many nations of tribal people. So what she did, she put an interim government in 1973. 1973, she put this interim government in, and they didn't like it. This government didn't like it. So what they do, I'm sure a lot of you people here today remember them taking out the Commonwealth in front of Australian government, 1973, and become a private corporation registered in America. That's what they become, a private corporation that's registered in America. They're in treason to the Crown, to England. They're in treason. They have no authority holding their position. First Nation people never give them authority. They were supposed to decolonise. And what we're saying today, well, they realised that there was, we're not in their constitution. So what they did, Julia Gillard says, oh, well, we need to put all these in our constitution. So they started up a recognise campaign to recognise us in your constitution. And we say, no, we don't want to be recognised. We are another state, as Queen Victoria stated in her documents. We weren't allowed in your constitution. We are another state. And it says in domestic law, it says in United international law, you can't make laws for another state. And what we're saying today now, we're sticking with Matt and everything, and we want to protect our country. And we say no to this Cooloola Corporation, what's it called? Cabins. We say no to them. They have no authority, neither does the Native Title. Because the Native Title Act, it states, if anything was done previously, they can't override it. The Bunya Proclamation says that we own our land. Yous weren't allowed to come in here. It says that we had sovereignty and dominion over the land because Queen Victoria stated that in the Pacific Island Protection Act and the Pacific Order. That's why you couldn't make laws for us. So this corporation is railroading us as much as they're railroading you. So we're standing with Matt and all you people because, as I said at the beginning, we're a team. Blackfella and whitefella work together. We all come together. We can have a decent life for our children. Because this is what it's all about now. They're destroying our culture. They're destroying your culture. They're destroying your way of life for your kids and grandkids. So we all need to come together and fight this. Also have some information here if anyone's interested about what we're doing and our website, and if they want to read the Bunya Proclamation on these bits of paper here. So if anyone's interested, just can come over and grab one. Yeah. So is there anything you want to say?
Hello, I'm Auntie Dawn, First Nations elder of Gympie and the surrounding areas. And this is Wit-boooka. He's our lawman. And we do really appreciate everybody standing with us in this campaign because we stand together as a people that stand up together united. We're on the winning track, and we humbly appreciate your help and standing with us, because if we win, you win. Thank you.
So there must be a few questions around somewhere. Anybody?
The idea way, the Native Title Corporation is unconstitutional, how the hell can we turn that around as a unified community when the politicians are so wrapped up in their own agenda to do whatever they like without consultation?
That's the thing. That's what they're doing. They're just ignoring everything and taking away everybody's rights.
How can we stop them?
Just by pressure, like Matt keeps advertising and everything and meeting with, Sandy Bolton. Where is she? Where's the Gympie man? Where's...
Yeah, they've all got it.
They know the laws. We've handed documents to these Gympie Council and other politicians, and they just keep ignoring it. But eventually, this information will be found out, because all we can do is the power is by the people. We all got to stand up. That's what I say about Wiradjuri. We all need to stand together to hold the power against these private, unlawful corporations. That's what they are. Who made the corporate law? It was man. It's not above Creator's law. It's not above their God's law. It's the lowest law, the power. So people need to understand that we have more power than what you think we really do. It's just everyone's got to stand up. Anyone else with a question?
Thanks for attending to put this side of things, because it's important and it's been lost on many people that this side of things is important. So thanks for attending and telling us all about it.
Yeah, that's no worries. Is that George? to it.
Hi. As I understand it, members of the Kabi Kabi have been involved in the discussions with Cabinet and the Queensland Government. Can you elaborate upon that?
Well, that was done about look, we only found out in March, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it was previous 3 years they were talking to the applicants. There's 7 applicants for native title. Now, we didn't go to pick them people because we pulled out of native title and we wanted to, because it's just corrupt. Because what it says in there, everything we've done to you people before, when they first come out here, in the middle, and now, was all unlawful. But once you sign this native title document, it becomes lawful. So, you know, we didn't want to be a part of it. So I've forgotten your question again, sorry.
Well, my question was about the fact that, as I understand it, Kabi Kabi people have been involved with Cabinet and the Queensland Government in all the discussions about infrastructure in the Great Walk.
Yeah, well, only the applicants, the 7 applicants, and under their authorisation meeting in 2019, when they were elected, they were supposed to come back to the mob. And they haven't. Well, they did. They did in March.
Because of you people.
Yeah, because of Matt and Greg were jumping up and down. Well, you know, what we say, they don't listen. But we have authority under their law, but they just ignore it.
So how can you become involved?
I just let you know what's going on the blackfellow side, so you know and understand it a bit better. It's all unlawful. Those people, those 7 applicants are supposed to come back to the mob and ask, do you want these cabins in the Great Walk? And they haven't done that yet. They've just showed us a few documents and a few plans, but then they said, well, it's not all, what's the name, is it? It's
Not all finalised, it's all secret.
yeah.
So you've gone back to the other Kabi Kabi people with your request for more information, have you? Or?
Well, they don't want to give you any more information. We can't do anything until they decide to have another meeting. We don't want this to go through at all. That's the thing. But other Kabi people do. But the thing is, as soon as we agree for these cabins, native title is extinguished on that there and it becomes a cook. And then we've lost more title to our land under their, their land holdings because the native title, what's the name's gone off it, but yeah.
So are you saying they can't put cabins there?
No, they can't.
Unless all the Kabi Kabi agree?
That's what it's supposed to be.
But
That's what it's supposed to be, but those 7 applicants just sign off anything and everything. That's why we're still in court in Gympie, or we call it Gympie. They signed off, oh, there's nothing on Djaki Kundu, the main roads can go through, so they come in and drag us out. We're still in court there, and they're dragging it out for the since 15th of October last year. They're dragging it out so they can get the road done, because they know they don't have a lawful standing. So we're stuck in court. Police prosecutor said to us a month ago, I don't have the power to give you all the evidence. You have to, this is what happens, you have to write a letter to the police commissioner to get all the evidence. So what do? We did that. We jumped through the hoop. We sent a letter, the police commissioner gets back to us and says, oh, no, it's the police prosecutor that has the powers to give you all the evidence. Where's the free legal system that you're supposed to have to get all the evidence to fight? Where's equity? Equity's not around here in your system. This is why people need to jump up and down. The whole system is a corporate system that doesn't benefit the people. It benefits the corporations. And as soon as you understand your rights are being taken away, the sooner we can move forward and become under Wirrichin.
Why are these other 7 applicants so in favour of going ahead?
because then their families get rich. They get paid to run around and stick things. Look, black fellas are the same as white fellas. We all got good and bad in every race. You know, it doesn't matter what colour you are. We all do good and bad.
Are you working with the department, particularly the department that handles the partnering of Indigenous peoples with the departments? Because, like, say, the Department of Environment and Science.
We're working with you, all these people, because they don't want to listen to us. It's the 7 applicants that were voted in. See, 2015, my family reasserted sovereignty in the Mary Valley. We reasserted and let the governments know that we're self-determinating. We're allowed to self-determinate under our laws. But they still don't want to listen.
That seems against the...
Yes, everything they go against your law, your own laws. We say, when we go to court, we say, follow your own laws.
But they're not following their own laws.
That's right.
Because they consulted the Department of Environment and Science. And on the side, one of the staff who said originally, this proposal is CRAP because it will destroy the wilderness that's existing.
That's right. And what we're saying is, well, we don't want to lose our native title access through there, because once they put the cabins there, we do. So instead of taking more land off us, how about you put them cabins outside and walk in? They like to walk in. You put the cabins outside.
Just a sec, and you've done the right thing. I'll give you the mic. If people ask a question, stand up. That way the camera will capture it and it'll make more sense to people watching the film later.
Just like to congratulate you, sir, on your presentation. For a long time I've been asking, where are the true Kabi people?
Yeah.
On that special sacred place up there that's as sacred to me as it is to you. And finally I've been able to hear it in person. Thank you for your presentation.
No worries. Well, here's a document from the native title, QSNTS, and it's got our first 3 apicals. They're our apicals. They're our apicals, the first 3. So we belong from Booble Mountain all the way down to Cooloola River, all the way up Fraser Island. I also got, on my mother's side, on Fraser Island. So, but this corporation native title group, all the videos they're pulling out are lies. They're from Waka Waka. They can't, under tribal law, they can't, if you haven't got blood connection, you can't make laws or rules or whatever over someone else's country. That's tribal law. And these people are over there in Waka Waka country, sitting in corporations over there also, running the show. And yet, what's that? It's a government entity that looks after Oric. We noted to them, and what did they do? Nothing. They were trading insolvent, these people, over in Waka country, and Oric did nothing. Oric allows them not even to have annual meetings. They're supposed to have a meeting every 3 months, so we know what's going on, the rest of the mob. And most of these people don't even live on country. They live over in Cherbourg and further west. We're the people that connected here. My people have been here since day dot. My grandmother got taken away. She come straight back and married a Tomlinson. They had a pig farm at Nambour, straight across from the hospital. They also donated some land to the private hospital and helped build that up. So my family's been here since day dot. We also, on the Yandina, Maruchi River there at Yandina, our ancestors bought some land there. after she left Gympie. That land, once they died, they took that land off us again. It's right at Gandina, right on the Maroochy River. He was a timber getter. He used to push the logs down from the junction from south and north Maroochy. He used to own that plot of land on the south side of the river, and he used to push the timber down. When he died, they took that land and never give us nothing. This is what happens to First Nation people. But I can see it now. They're all starting to happen to you. This is why we all need to stick together. Any more questions? Yeah. There's a lady behind you. Just this one first.
Greg, you probably just partly answered my question, but those 7 applicants that you talk about, are you saying that they've chosen from all around different areas and not from this region?
See, most of them are Waka Waka also. See, Sherbrooke. So, Brian Warner, in my opinion, and all the evidence I've seen, he comes from Eidsvold. He never had...
How were the applicants actually chosen? I mean, who chooses these applicants?
See, we had a meeting in 2013, we had an authorisation meeting for native title. I was there, and we voted in all these people. This is where the old people were. They were still alive, some of the old people. And then, over the years, QSNTS, the government, have said, oh no, this is not going to work, so they changed the applicants. So they've had a number of meetings since then, and the last one was about 2019, the authorisation meeting, and they picked the ones that they wanted to. They said we had no system of law, which in 2013 we got a Younger Bawana private corporation and it says our system of law, but they just ignore it. And this is what's happened. These people are just puppets. They just do what the government wants them to do. And we're here trying to stop them. So.
Yeah, question,
Yeah. Hello. I'm interested in your historical claims to sovereignty as declared by the Queen of the UK a long time ago. Have you made any efforts in international courts about this? Have you appealed, for instance, to the Governor General and therefore to the Queen?
We've sent that many letters to the Governor General. We've sent, about 4 letters to the Queen. We've sent letters to the UN, and the UN's we sent to the criminal code, it's overseas anyway, it's a criminal, I forget that name, but anyway, we sent to overseas courts, and what they said, we have to do everything within our power to go through this whole system before we can get to there. And yet you've got a private corporation. This is the reasons why we don't have solicitors or barristers, is because they sign an oath to protect the system. They sign up to the bar. They sign up to the bar to protect the system. So if you're going against that system, your evidence doesn't go in. It's happened to us many times. But we can't do nothing until we've gone through every legal aspect on this continent. And it ties you up for years and years. We have a good case with Djaki Kundu. We have all the laws standing with us, their laws, that protects our sites. And until that goes through court properly, we don't have much power at all. We can just jump up and down like all of us here.
Can I just raise one question that might help and answer it? The framing might help. A lot of people don't understand. I didn't for a long time. The whole applicant thing and the whole corporation thing is quite complex. Which is probably what leaves a lot of Kabi people out, because it is very complex to actually understand. There's a lot of opportunities in it to trick people because it is so complex. So, if I could just do a little outline and get you to answer to it. The applicant is an agent for the clan group.
Yeah, he's
7 people, well actually I think 6 now, one's dropped out. There are 6 people supposedly elected, but I can't quite understand how that was done, to represent and act as agent for the claim group. And there's rules that govern their regular information, and with interviewers they've got to be constantly kept in contact and acting on the instructions of the claim group, yet they've done this for 3 years without. Now, considering the Djaki Kundu thing where something in particular people's country was signed off on by someone not from that country, and you've got a couple of people doing a lot of stuff on behalf of a lot of people without talking to them. Can you just make some comments about what you might call traditional law, or what you do call traditional law, with regard to speaking for country? It's not one whole Kabi thing, it's like localities, is that right?
Yes, like I said, we had apicals. You know, I have 3 apicals and they all belong to certain parts of the country. So, like Maggie Contini, she belongs Myra and down through to the Mary Valley. And so does George Parsons. He was born at Cooloola, just between Yamundi and Kenilworth. And then the other one, Albert Williams, he was born in Nambour area, so that's Malula and all that coastal section. So those people that belong to those countries can only talk, under tribal law, the Djaki law, they can only talk for that bit of country. Yet these people, the native title group, have got these kids to sign them up for native title, you know, said, yeah, we want you. And it was bullied, so we heard. And so they can talk for everybody. But they don't talk for us. We've already sent notices in from 2015 to QSNTS. We've told them that you can't represent my family, my apical ancestor. And they just ignore it. You know, 5 or 6 times we've sent these letters in because they keep sending the information. We don't want to be a part of the system. Because have we got a whiteboard here? We don't. Us, up here. Then the government or the Crown comes along down here. We've got a bunch of families here, Kabi families. And then in 1993, the native title rate come about because they wanted a contract with the owners. So they wanted a contract with the owners. So some of the families says, oh, well, we're not doing nothing, we're not getting nothing, we need some money, so we'll come down to this government. The thing is, we have not moved, we're still up here. And the trouble is the government keeps forgetting and they keep ignoring us. We haven't lost our sovereignty. We're still up here. And these people here have just lost all their rights to their land. So this discretionary trust covers all of Kabi country and much of the country, because I'm connected to that too. So, but you can only talk for one part of your land, you can't talk for everything. And that's under Djaki law, tribal law, Kabi law.
Perhaps one more question, and then we...
Our local state member claims to support the commercialization of the national park based on her communication with apparently the Kabi Corporation. And I assume that you have made representation to her on one or more occasions. Is she being willfully ignorant of the needs or the requirements of the local indigenous group, or is she being fooled in some way?
We have a problem there because the 7 applicants, okay, they were voted in to be applicants. So then they made a corporation to handle cultural heritage. Those 7 people won't allow any other Kabi people into that corporation. So they won't allow the members. So they've kept us out, so we don't know what's going on in that corporation also. It's unlawful. It's against their rules. But how do we stand up? and say this because no one's listening. Ignorance. And this is what the government does. It ignores everything. So I don't know what's going on in that corporation, or we don't know what's going on with the corporation, because they won't allow any members.
So does that mean our local representative is being willfully ignorant of that? Or
That's right. Yes, Sandy Bolton's been ignorant. She is. Because she's only listened to them. Well, I've told them many times on Facebook and council that they're unlawful. This corporation, the native title is just a contract with First Nation people. And whoever wanted to go with it, they signed their rights away. But we haven't. We're still up the top. We said, no, we already have native title. We still own our land. We still own our sacred sites. We still own our country. So, but these people are all, it's the government. They manipulate everything. And if you're not watching them, they do whatever they want.
Is it possible to take it to the federal level?
Costs money. Like, we've already been to the Supreme Court, put an injunction on this side up here, and because we don't have solicitors or barristers, we don't really know what we're doing, so it costs you a heap of money and nothing. They manipulate it. They manipulate everything. As I said, barristers and solicitors work for the system. If you go against the system, they won't help you. They'll have your money, but they won't help you.
In what way do you think that you're going against it?
Well, because it's not what the government wants. We say just follow your laws. As I said, we're not going against your system. We just follow your laws. And we'll be all right. Everything will be right. And we want it, like we said, we don't want to kick anyone out. Everyone's here. We know what it was like. Our people were slaughtered and murdered and dragged off and to communities and weren't allowed to do culture or weren't allowed to do anything. So we know what it was like. So we don't want to kick anyone out. We want to work with everybody. So, and that's why I say, Wiradjuri, black fellow and white fellow working together.
2 questions. Here and there. Let's go.
Okay, look, 2 more and then we're going to have to move on, otherwise we'll... Okay, you go next.
Good day, Stephen Cooley is my name. As far as following laws go, and as far as willful ignorance goes, this proposal is an impact assessable proposal and it requires full public consultation to all the mobs. All the mobs. That hasn't occurred. I have asked our state MP 18 months ago, please can we have a public consultation so everyone gets a say. Any decision of this relating to this proposal that hasn't been the subject of a public consultation is unlawful.
That's right.
Okay? The other little thing I would like to say is that once land becomes developed, it can never be undeveloped.
That's right.
And that is what makes this place absolutely sacred. And that is the simple reason why this proposal will not succeed and it must not succeed. Thank you.
My name's Colin Burrell. Firstly, I'd like to thank you for the extent of your knowledge, the objectivity of it, and the solidarity of it. It's just to be applauded, your cause and your case and the way you're presenting it. But I'd like to just bring to attention to the meeting, I'd like also to acknowledge everybody who's turned up for this cause, but what we all need to accept is in the existing sort of, I'd say, maybe current day laws, all of the laws which are passed by the Queensland Parliament and put up as law by the Governor, all of those laws, if you read the preliminary chapter 1, they bind all persons. They bind all persons. Secondly, every person, every entity is expected to advance the purpose or the objects of that parliamentary legislation, whether it be Nature Conservation Act, or the Environment Protection Act, or the Planning Act, or the the Environment and Planning and Environment Act, it doesn't matter. All of those so-called modern laws, everybody's bound by them. The laws require everybody to advance the purpose of the objects of the Act, and there's a law which is the Acts Interpretation Act in 1954 for Queensland, 1901 for the Commonwealth, for the federal. That law requires any part of a statute law is to be interpreted in such a way as to best advance the object or the purpose of the Act. So while these barristers in our legal system are protecting the status quo in our country now, they are bound by the Act. They are required to advance the purpose of the objects of the Act, and they're to be interpreted in a way that best perform the object or the purpose of the Act. And all of these acts have a purpose or an object to protect the First Nations people's culture and their knowledge and their traditions. That's one of them. You don't need to, well, you can go to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island Act, but that can be found in the Planning Act, those exact words in both of those acts. So these people, and until we stand up and fight, and believe me, I've been on a crusade to have this recognised for some 9 or so years now, until I can get someone to believe me, please read the section 7 of the Planning Act, read the section 5 of the Planning Act, and find out that all of these people, whether they're barristers, whether they're politicians, or whether they're just the loyalites like myself, all of us are bound by these acts, and all of us are required to advance. And until we pressure these politicians, who aren't here today, it's already been acknowledged, they don't really find it so important to come and listen to us. But everybody is bound by and required to advance the purpose of the Act. And these lawyers can't continue to say that it's too philosophical. These purposes and objects are explicitly stated. There is no doubt about what they're stating. So we've got all of the law what you're talking about. We've got our modern laws. Let's make these people listen, please.
Thank you.
Well, that's like the Act Shortening Acts in 1852 and 1867. Section 9 and that says no private corporation can take away your rights. Way before the Australian government happened, or the corporations, they can't take away your rights. So, and when I was born, when Auntie was born, they weren't allowed to count us. So we're not persons or entities. We are living flesh and blood. And this is what we tell the courts. We're not your corporations. We're not a person. We're a living flesh and blood man or woman. This is how they catch you, because they class you as dead. Everyone's dead. So, anyway, did you want to speak?
As all, Djaki, is asked, I've heard a lot of questions. So one was what Matt said. So, you know how you see all these fellas going up, working the country and all that sort of stuff. Have a look at them, and they say, I pay my respects to ancestors past and present. Are they protecting sites? No. I haven't seen any one of them. The only time I've seen one of them, who was very, very local around here, very, very picturesque, is when we're getting a site destroyed, and he was behind talking to Anastasia Palisade Motor. They do not protect country. Now, I heard you all asking you all, how do we stop this stuff? Without you people, we wouldn't have had a meeting. So because of you people, we had a meeting and it's become public. That's how you do it. Without yous, we wouldn't be here. Okay? Send letters, jump on the door, knock on the door. Okay? Go to where their office or whatever it is. Go their neighbours, do it, trust me. It works. I could tell you stuff about the Djaki Kundu, right, in the Cultural Heritage Report. I wish I could, and it'd blow your mind. These people are not protectors.
That's the native title.
Okay, that's a native title applicant. So when you hear people say the Kabi people, please use the word the applicants and their little group. But without you people, that's how you get it done. Thanks for coming.
I'd just like to add a little bit onto that, is we've got certain people that try to claim that Kabi people or Kabi people are dead. There's none left. Well, look, we are alive and we are breathing. And there's a number of others. So be sure we are not dead. And we are fighting the cause, and we are standing with all you people. In appreciation, we thank you. And with that, my mind's just gone blank a minute. Sorry about that. But we do, with a grateful heart, thank each and every one that takes the time to come to these meetings, to stand with us, to even to work in their community, mentioning and bringing light to the cause. Because when we talk about the Great War, Poona Lakes and all that, that's under threat, once they're gone, there's no return. And if you haven't been out to Poona Lakes and seen some of the gigantic trees out there, well, you're missing something, because it is something unbelievable, and you have to be there to see it. And when you think of all these cabins and that's supposed to be put in amongst these trees, the damage it's going to create, because it's not just going to be the cabins, it's going to be the sewage, it's going to be water, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. So what happens? All the roots of this vegetation gets ruined. And not only that, if you've seen the big trees, you see the big branches, ooh. Okay, that's it.